Welcome to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are continuing our 15th, I can't believe I'm saying this still, 15th anniversary of the Bernard Lee Poker Show, but we are celebrating with other people who are celebrating their anniversaries as well. Last week, we had on Scott Blumstein, who is having his 5th anniversary of his 2017 World Series of Poker main event win. Now we're going to go back even a little further. 2012, the 43rd annual World Series of Poker. That main event had 6,598 players, prize pool of over $62 million. First prize was $8.5 million. This gentleman won the hearts of everyone with his epic picture of holding the bracelet over the pile of money, but just the emotions pouring over him of everything that he has went through. Also, an incredible last day, which was well over 13 hours of play. We'll talk about all of those things, but I'm so pleased to have back on the show our good friend, Greg Merson. Greg, thanks for joining us once again here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show.
Oh, it's such a throwback and a thrill to be back on the show. You know, it's been several years, and happy to be here. Nice to see you.
It was so great. Back then, obviously we were covering it a lot for ESPN, November 9, all of this. Can you honestly believe it's 10 years since you went? When I look back to say like 2012 and it was you, I was like, oh my goodness, it's Greg 10 years ago. Can you believe it?
I know, especially because it's gone quite fast for me, because I really just went full blast into not letting it sink in as much to keep progressing with my career, and
Right.
not until the last 4 or 5 years that I start letting it soak in a little more.
Yeah.
And then I guess just the even number date anniversary makes it feel a little more special. Yeah.
Right. You are in New Jersey, correct? You moved to New Jersey. You've been playing there. Obviously, online poker is legal there, one of the few states, and we're hoping here in Massachusetts it slowly starts creeping up our way as well. But what was the decision about New Jersey over like Las Vegas and Nevada?
Yeah, so in 2014, I signed a sponsorship deal with WSOP.com, and I had to choose between living in Nevada or moving to Jersey. And my wife actually wanted to live in Vegas. And I just thought I didn't want to be in Vegas full time as a recovering drug addict with too many temptations.
Right.
I love Vegas. It's like a second home for me, but to live there full time, I'm not sure how much I would like that. My wife and I also both like to walk everywhere. So we wanted to be living somewhere where we don't have to drive much.
Yeah.
So we chose Hoboken. We thought we would be here for a year or two, and now it's been 8 years, and we've bought a place here and plan to raise our kids here. And it's a place that we call home, and we love it. So it all worked out.
That's awesome. And you alluded to it. The big story back then was you were recovering from your drug addictions right around the time when you won the event, and just wanted to see how that's going. I think, if I'm correct to say, if I remember right, is that you had your 10-year sober recently too, right?
Yeah, so December 10th of 21 was 10 years for me. So yeah, it's been quite a, I wouldn't say easy journey, but each year that goes by, it definitely gets easier. There's times where it's not the best, but I don't have the same type of urges that I have had in the past. Maybe if I'm in specific situations too much, it's like a little annoying to be around, but I just don't surround myself with people using or partying or any of that stuff. So it's not, out of sight, out of mind type of deal.
Right. And like you said, I think what a really, mature decision you made, because in 2014, obviously with your wife even saying she wanted to live in Vegas, and who would ever blame you? You're signing a sponsorship deal with a company that's in Vegas. Obviously, it's one of the meccas of poker. You don't have to go very far to be able to play in a tournament, and they are cash game anytime you want, in addition to online. And what a great, mature decision, because obviously you're just putting yourself in that spot, right? I mean, you don't even mean to, and then next thing you know, you're in a very compromising situation.
Yeah, there's too many bad memories associated with Vegas and Atlantic City for me. Just when I was coming up and on the relapse, when I was partying in both cities and stuff. So as much as I love both of those places and they have a lot of positive memories for me, it still has that little dark side of it that I don't know if I want to be there full time. And I feel like I've skipped out on a lot of Borgata tournaments when they used to have them for that same reason, that anytime I could stay in that hotel by myself to play this tournament, just a lot of bad memories there. Whereas playing in the poker room itself, a lot of good memories, and seeing all the people there are just a lot of fun. I definitely miss it. If they had tournaments again, I would for sure go back. But yeah, it's kind of weird to have such awesome memories associated with places and then all these dark memories as well.
Right.
So to come here where, you know, I've been sober the whole time I've been here, 8 years, and just all positive memories here. It's nice to start over a bit.
Talk about some of the new memories that you have. Talk about your family. Hey, babies are now in the equation, right?
Yeah. So my first daughter was born March of 19. So she just turned 3, and my youngest is just turned 6 months a few days ago. 2 girls. We have a 3.5-year-old dog as well. So it actually adding the second. We've told this to a lot of people, and they ask us how we're doing with 2 now. Having the second wasn't as hard of a transition as it was to just have a 6-month-old puppy with your first newborn. Yeah, it was really tough. The first year and a half was really, really tough.
Yeah.
So now it's just kind of plugging in this new child into our routine, and not as crazy as I thought it would be. I was more stressed out the month before the baby came than I've been at any point since she's been born, because I think I was forecasting too much chaos.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, I always tell people, when you have one baby, you can double team them. Mm-hmm. When you have 2, you have to play man to man. When you have 3, you got to go zone. Yeah. And so for you went man to man right away because you had this 6-month-old puppy. And for people who don't have dogs, the 6-month-old puppy, you got to watch out, or else you're just going to be slipping and sliding all over the floor, you know. So you really almost went man to man right away. And so now you plug it in. I'm sure the dog's kind of into a little bit easier routine.
Yeah, he's much
as a 3-year-old. Right. So now you just went from man to man, and just your dog kind of sat on the bench, and then your baby came in, and now you're still man to man. So it's not as bad. That's right. Mine's right next to me too. So, so how is it being a father?
I love it. And I also think it's made me a much better poker player too, because I just enjoy playing the time that I get to play. And it doesn't, anytime I'm frustrated, running bad, taking bad beats, whatever, not making hands, it just kind of puts it into perspective that you're just playing a game. And then it's nice when I have a really bad day that, once again, as soon as I'm done playing, I see my daughters, and it just puts it into perspective again. Just that none of it matters, which is a fortunate spot to be in, where you're not playing stakes that are affecting your life. So you just have to remind yourself that, okay, I got crushed today, but it doesn't change my life at all. And that's a positive thing. And then your kids don't care whether you won or lost that day.
Right. Well, and that's where, for better or worse, when I did what I did in 2005, I had the picture of my kids in front of me, and people just thought it was like a quote unquote, like, oh, that's just a little gimmick. And I said, it's not a gimmick. It's why I started it. For me, my son was born in 2003, my daughter in 2005. And I'd been really starting to play a lot right around, not Moneymaker as much as Varconi, ironically, which was 2002. Yep. So I'd been playing at that time. And I remembered seeing a picture of my son when I was playing online. And I just looked at him, and I was so frustrated something happened online. I looked at him and I go, it's not that bad. Like, I got him. So that's why I started bringing the picture. And when I had the pictures of the 2 kids, and I told everyone, when I go all in, there's so much stress. But if you just look down at the picture of your kids and go, worst comes to worst, I go home to them. That's
Mhm.
what the relief is. And I don't think anyone can understand that unless you have kids. And I think that what you just described, you would totally get it. Like, that
Mhm.
totally makes sense. Like, who cares you get knocked out of an event? That's great. Yeah, sure, you're disappointed for that, like, X number of minutes. But once you get off that plane, or once you get out of the car and you walk in the door and you see your kids, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I forgot what we were doing today.
100%. I think because before I had kids, my life happiness was too centered around how I was doing
Exactly.
with poker, and I feel like I've always been an overachiever. So if I don't, and always put a lot of pressure on myself. So if I wasn't performing well or putting up results, I would get over it fairly quickly and be able to. It's not like if I was running bad, it would just affect my life in
Right.
all areas, but maybe for 30 minutes, an hour, or something until I can kind of snap out of that mindset. So now,
Right.
yeah, now not so much. Like I just feel way more relaxed and just a much better gambler.
Yeah. And like you said, you just feel like for me, I've never had it where poker was my entire world. Right. But I
Mhm.
can see, like, if you, before kids, if poker was all that you were really focusing on, then like your happiness is based, like when I play sports or something like that, sometimes your happiness is, if you do well, you're happier, obviously, right?
Mhm.
And so if your livelihood is poker, and it depends on how well you're doing, well, you could have a run that's just variance, that you're not doing well, and then your life isn't happy, right? But
Yeah.
like you said, like, there are tournaments, series that you play, and you go 0 for 6, and
Mhm.
that's not fun. I mean, you could literally go 3 for 6, but then like miss the final table each time, or miss the heads up, whatever, and it just didn't go well, and you feel bad. But I'm sorry for people who don't have kids, and are like, enough of the sappy stuff. But when you come
Yeah.
home, life's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life's good. So.
Yeah. And it also helps to play cash games for a living, helps because
Mhm.
you don't have to deal with these awful runs. Well, specifically online, because you get to play so many hands
Yeah.
and the stakes aren't too variable. Whereas if you play, let's say you play the biggest live cash games that you have available to you, and you're a 10-20 player, 10-25 player, and then all of a sudden twice that month 25-50 or 50-100 runs, and you just lose 50,000, and then you're back to playing your normal 10-20 game. Yeah, that's really frustrating. Whereas online, it's like the same stakes every day. So even if you're getting crushed in the big games, it's easier to recover and not be as mentally crushed, like soul crushed from being down so much, where it might take you 2 months to make the money back that you lost in these one or two big games that ran.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're playing a lot online in New Jersey. How often do you play, and how many tables? Like, if you're playing cash, how many tables are you playing?
So now I play 4 days a week: Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But recently, in the past month, I haven't been playing too many hours on Wednesday, because I've been playing a game in the city. Um, so pretty much now I'm just playing online on the weekends, and
Mhm.
I'll play as many tables as there are running, basically, of no limit and PLO.
Mhm.
So I mean, our player pool is pretty small, so I don't think I really get above 12 tables that often, and even
Wow.
that is pretty rare. I would.
And what
It's tough.
levels are we talking about? How high does it go? I unfortunately, I can't play in them. So how high are the, like, is it 5, 10, 10, 20? What is
So the
it?
most of my volume is between 2.5 and 25.50, and
Oh,
then
okay. Yeah.
if the games are really bad or it's really slow and I need to add 1-2 no limit, I will, because I can just load up 10 tables of 1-2 and have a good hourly paired with, let's say one table of 5-10 PLOs running, and then no limit games suck, and I'm just playing a bunch of 1-2, and the hourly is still really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting that, obviously, it's fantastic that you're able to do that. Has the game changed in New Jersey based off of time? Like, when obviously when online started way back when, to now, with 20 plus years, it's different. But it'd be interesting to understand how New Jersey changed, because it hasn't been there for a full decade yet, but it has obviously been one of the longest states of playing online regulated poker. Has it changed much?
Yeah, it has. I mean, you're kind of forced to play these varying stake levels in order to get volume in. So when I first moved here, it was really easy to just be, okay, I'm just going to play 2-5, or I'm just going to play 5-10 plus. But now if you want to get enough hands in per month, you have to be willing to play all different stakes. And that's what drove me to learn PLO around 5 years ago, was to just be able to play more volume and have an ability to earn, diversify my ability to earn. So I play PLO 8 as well, but that game doesn't run that much. So yeah, now that I can play all three formats, it's nice to have the option of getting enough hands in. Whereas if you're just, let's say, if you're just a 2-5 no limit player and there's only 2 tables running, your hourly is not very good. Yeah.
Is it that you're playing on the weekends more? Is because that's where more people are playing? So like during the week, it's the number of tables is smaller?
Yeah, I think the weekend games are always better live online. Just always has been, always will be. And at the beginning of my relationship with my wife, I wasn't playing much on the weekends because, she was working a 9 to 5 and this is our time to hang out. And then towards the end of her working, I told her I wanted to start adding in weekend hours. And I like to play during the day, like specifically in the morning. So morning date or weekdays can be really hit or miss because who's playing poker at 8 in the morning on a Tuesday?
Of course.
So, but on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, more likely to have traffic on those off hours. So it just feels like a better use of my time. And then during the week, I can take care of other things and just prepare for the weekends. Are really draining on me because I put in a lot of volume over the weekends, and I feel like I don't sleep well because of the adrenaline of just screen time, gambling, all that stuff. So Monday is always a big recovery day for me, and then all the other tasks of being a father and dog owner.
What about, so you're obviously playing a lot online. What about live? You say you play some cash games live, but do you play, you don't play many tournaments outside of the WSOP live, right?
Yeah, I played the WPT in Florida in January. That was the first WPT I'd played in. I honestly don't even remember the last one I played, but I was taking a break from playing live in general and definitely the live tournaments 2 or 3 years before COVID, just to focus on just playing online. And then the COVID experience definitely sped up my urge to want to get back to playing live poker and just enjoying the social aspect of playing. Because honestly, I don't even really care how good the game is. Whereas like most of my career, I've focused my attention around like, what do I think my hourly is? How good is the game? How can I max out my earning? Now it's like, okay, even if the game's not good or the tournament's not that great, if I'm gonna enjoy it, that's more of what I'm looking for. So as long as it's just a fun experience, like I won't play cash games in a casino anymore because I just find them very
everyone's hiding behind their sunglasses and trying to outplay each other. Like,
I will say I played at Parks a couple months ago and it was an awesome environment. I could see myself playing there more often if it was closer.
Where'd you say? Where was it? Sorry.
At Parks in Philly.
Okay, yeah, Philly, yeah.
So yeah, that was an awesome, like, friendly, talkative, social environment. But my experiences at Maryland Live, anytime I played in LA, anytime I played in Vegas, have just been like very serious, not much social interaction, and just, I don't know. When I was younger, it was cool to do that because I was also playing at a very serious level and the stakes were big and they meant more to me at the time. So it was easier to not need this engagement from a social standpoint. Now if there's no social engagement, I just don't really want. I'd rather play online if it's going to be like that.
Sure. And basically what you're putting into the equation is kind of like social equity, right? Like, yeah, sure. I could be making, like you said, X much more per hour if I'm
Mhm.
playing in a but I might make 75% of what I could have made, but the 25% that I'm losing, I'm gaining in like having fun. I totally get it,
Yeah.
because if you're not
Yeah.
enjoying it, then, like I'll play in some games, and if you don't enjoy it, but yet, I mean, it's one thing, like if you're absolutely going to crush it and making God knows how much money, but if it's just somewhat similar, I don't want to play in it. Like
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't want to have that scenario where I'm frustrated with a player or two. You know
Mhm.
what? It's just not worth it. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, and this is where the pros have really dropped the ball in the past 5 to 10 years of not doing their job as a professional gambler, because like we're essentially entertainers, right? So if you're gonna play with someone that's gonna lose money in poker, why do they want to play with you? You need to give them a reason to want to play with you,
Right.
whether it's giving them action or like finding stuff that they enjoy talking about. Just maybe they like to shit talk, maybe they like to be like sweet talked, right?
Right.
But it, not that you have to be fake, I don't mean like that,
No,
but
no,
just,
no, no. Right. Right.
you're gambling. I guess for me it's easy because I love gambling, right? So I'm not just there to take every edge
Right.
possible. And if they if this guy's if this recreational player is the only person straddling at the table and no one else is, it would be easy for me to take advantage of the fact that this guy is straddling. Everyone else is taking advantage of it, but sure, I'll put the straddle on too. And then I'll hope that, or I'll put the restraddle on. Like, yeah, is it costing me money? Yes, but it's good for the game. I'm showing the recreational guy that, hey, I'm here to gamble too.
Right.
And let's have fun. Like if I'm going to be having the edge, it's okay to give some back, right?
Right. 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 I agree with you. And I think that just comes with experience and maturity, because
Mhm.
I agree with you. Like years ago, there may be somebody making a mistake at the table that, hey, I think that they're gaining an edge because of like little betting mistake. They're talking about in home games, right? Like, so somebody throws out money and they're, home games, you're not so good. Some people splash the pot or whatever. And now people aren't really 100% sure what you put in. And I'm very observant, so I know exactly what it is. Well, now you're starting to piss off the ATM at the game. And so
Mhm.
maybe what you should be doing is just letting $10 or $20 slide every once in a while,
Yeah.
because they're tossing in hundreds into the game. So what's the big deal? And I get
Exactly.
it. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Like sometimes you don't. I think the way that someone once described to me is that you don't have to be right all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And a
just,
lot of, yeah, and these home games, sometimes guys want to play by the like casino ruling of certain
oh
situations.
yeah, right,
Where
right.
a guy like the amateur player bluffs this a couple weeks ago, amateur player bluffs the river for like 2,000 with third pair. Guy calls him, amateur player says, "You got it. I just got a 7." And then
Right.
the guy's waiting for him to table his hand.
Right.
Just show he told you won. Just show your hand and take the pot. And then like
Right.
the guy got upset, and I thought that I actually thought that he might leave, and that's just, yeah. You don't have to like be so by the book, but
Right.
the guy's not trying to angle you by not showing his cards. Like it's not
Right.
the end of the world that you don't get to see his hand there.
Right. Yeah, I think they're just like in our game, every once in a while, somebody will call, but didn't realize somebody else raised. And so
Mhm.
they're like, oh, I wouldn't have called if I knew that there was a raise. And
Yeah, you
obviously in
just
a
take it
casino,
back.
you wouldn't, obviously in a casino, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But in our game, we're like, that's fine if you want to take it back. We had one situation recently where somebody called, okay, they limped. We play a dealer's choice game, right? So he limped, someone else raised, and then there was another raise, and he ended up calling and then calling.
Mhm.
And then we said, how many cards do you want? We were playing deuce to 7. And he thought we were playing big O.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So his hands obviously were completely different.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? He had no idea.
Yeah.
So what we thought was fair in that spot was you can take back the fact that it took you that long to even figure it out. I
Yeah.
think a $10 penalty is okay. Like your first
Sure.
bet, hey, you limped, that's on you that you didn't
Yeah.
realize, because we all know when the switch person happens.
For sure.
But you would never have made the $20 call on the raise, obviously. So I said, listen, this is the fair thing, in my opinion, is that we'll give you the 20 back because you would never have made that call. But the first one, kind of on you that you made that. And also you changed the action a little bit too, because then this wouldn't have been a raise or a re-raise, that kind of thing. He may not have re-raised. And he was like, everyone was like, that's fair, right? That's fair because, and it wasn't like he was closing the action. He like started it and all this kind of stuff. So, but I get it. Like in a casino that obviously would never have flown, right? So, but right over. So anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk more with Greg about the 10th anniversary of his really incredible win. There's so many storylines from that. I was very fortunate to go backwards in time and actually read my columns that I wrote back then for ESPN. I wrote a lot of them. I talked a lot with Greg about it. We've actually bumped into each other since then. We were at I think it was in Atlantic City at Bally's, where it was a championship. Remember, it was it was like a national championship tournament where Greg, Jesse, Jake, and there was somebody else too, I think, that was there as well, like all from your final table.
I think Russell Thomas.
That's right, Russell Thomas. I think it might have been Russell Thomas. That's right. And so, it's crazy that everyone was there. The top 4 at that point were there, and I took a picture with all 4 of you guys. It was just kind of cool. So we'll relive a lot of those memories when we return here, as we continue talking about Greg Merson's 10th anniversary. And we continue with the 15th anniversary here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show.